We'll start off with the Euro Tour in Austria, and a familiar name winning the title, Michael van Gerwen winning the Austrian Darts Open, getting the jacket as well. And it comes on to our question of the week, a little under 3 months now before the World Matchplay. Do you make MVG the favourite in Blackpool as of right now?
I do, but just narrowly. If you go back just a couple of years ago, he was the favorite in every event and was convincingly the favorite, and rightfully so. Especially when we're talking about his peak era of 2015, 2016, where he was winning almost everything and averaging well on 104 as an average, which was 3-4 points better than anyone else. Gary Anderson and Phil Taylor were normally averaging around the ton. He's not anywhere near that right now, although he is playing at a much higher standard than he was the last couple of years. But beyond that, the number of players who can consistently average around 100 is so much greater, which means there's that increased chance that even when he is playing at his best, he can be beat. Johnny Clayton being the prime example of a player who frequently beats him even when he's playing well. But I think he is and should be the favorite because he is learning to win again and he is getting that confidence back. And I think the Premier League has helped with that. It couldn't hurt being able to just win 3 matches and leave the night as the mini title winner. It can't hurt but your confidence. And now he's added a couple Euro Tour titles to that approach, a title on the floor, and a lot of good performances and consistent performances, which has made him as close to the Michael van Gerwen of old as at any point since, even before the start of the pandemic, because I think it was back really in 2019 where the inconsistencies and the doubts started to creep in. I think he is the favorite. I think he should be the favorite right now, but not a heavy favorite. Even with Peter Wright struggling right now, even with Gerwyn Price us not being sure where he's at right now, there are still too many players who are playing well and are playing consistently well enough to lift the title. Johnny Clayton being the most obvious other player, but the person he beat in the finals, another one, just won the last major in Danny Noppert. I'm not going to write off Michael Smith yet, even though Michael Smith has been struggling in the Premier League. And obviously James Wade, who's now won a couple of those Premier League nights and is looking every bit the part of one of the 4 or 5 best players in the world. I think there are so many players who on their day can beat Van Gerwen and on their day beat anyone else who throws at them, that yes, Van Gerwen is the favorite, but not a heavy favorite. It's a wide open event. It's been a long time since it's a wide open event where Van Gerwen was the favorite because, for so long he was the favorite, and it was a pretty open and shut case that he was going to win it unless something went wrong. Now we're seeing a new era where he can be the favorite, but it's still wide open.
Yeah, you make him the slight favourite, and that's the same with the title sponsors of the World Matchplay. I was having a look earlier. Betfred, they've got MVG 4-1. Then you've got the reigning champion of the tournament, Peter Wright, 11-2. Gerwyn Price is the same odds. Johnny Clayton, 7-1, and the rest of them 10-1 or even higher. And Michael, he said in his interviews that winning's the best medicine, and he has been doing a lot of that so far this year. He's won those 3 Premier League nights. He's now got a second Euro Tour title of the year to go with his 2 Players' Championship events this year, and he's already doubled his tally for last year. 2021 won 2 titles. This year he's already got those 4 titles, 7 if you include the 3 Premier League nights. I'm not going to, but some people might. But to say he's back and he's a big favourite again, I think it is still very early days. I think I'm with you as a slight favourite, and I think there are still some frailties in his game, and even when he is winning these tournaments, and we saw it at the weekend in Austria, there was some great stuff in there. We've got to mention the 106 average against Dirk van Dijvenbode. He had 3-11 darters in that game, won that 6-1. The game against James Wade on the Sunday afternoon, the last 16, he was 4-2 down, pulls out that 170 to break back and an 11 darter to hold and comes through in the decider 6-5. And the game against Danny Noppert as well, there were times where he let him back in. There was a 23 darter that he lost, but he had 7 out of his 8 legs that he won in 15 darts or less. The other leg, 16 darts. So there are some good signs for Michael and his fans. But as I say, there are some signs where he is there for the taking, I think. And even the first game of the weekend against Cameron Menzies, who also had a 170 finish, I think if he'd have took his chances towards the latter end of that game, it could have been closer than the 6-3 scoreline. And even the semi-final against Stephen Bunting as well, which ended up being 7-5. That could have been closer as well. Both of those games, Michael averaging in the low 90s, and we know how many players on the tour can easily average low 90s and even average even higher. So for me, I think, a slight favourite based on the fact that he is winning these titles again now, and that's going to build confidence, that's going to build belief back in his game, and it's going to build that aura back around him, isn't it, that he had 5, 6, 7 years ago when we were turning up to these tournaments, and he was a much bigger favourite with the bookmakers and probably a bigger favourite among darts fans. But the first step for him is winning these titles, getting that winning feeling back. Then he's starting to win these major titles again, because it's been a long drought for him as far as winning these major titles. But if he can carry on the next few months, maybe even pick up the Premier League title, that would be a big title to win, maybe even the World Cup. He'll go into the World Matchplay as a huge favourite. But I think based on what we've seen so far this year, I would have him as a slight favourite as well.